Hey, welcome to the channel. This is David from Armored Printing, and today we're going to be building the Ender3NG version 1.2. So this printer is pretty cool. I've been working on this project helping out RH3D, doing some testing, as well as Fabrico is doing some testing with their soon-to-be released kit. And I love this printer. So this printer takes your old, neglected, and forgotten Ender 3, Ender 3 Pro, or Ender 3 V2, and turns it into a very capable Core XY machine. Uses linear rods, linear bearings, and a lot of the leftover parts from your Ender 3. Overall, this build shouldn't take that long to put together. We're going to try and get this done over the course of a couple episodes. This one's going to focus on, you know, the user guide and the parts. There's a lot of elements to it that you're going to want to take into consideration before you start, and I'm going to help go over all that. And then we're going to go over the lower frame, the upper frame, the tool head, as well as the belt paths, and then we'll do the electronics and configuration. I plan on running mine with Clipper. I'll be using a bamboo hot end with this Advanced 3D Printing Extruder. So it's going to be a really fun build. Stick around and let's breathe some new life into that Ender of yours. Okay, so starting off with the build guide. This is something that RH3D has put in a lot of time and effort into, and there was a small group of us that was able to help him out and you know, just error check it, which there really wasn't much error to do. You did a great job, RH. And this is a free to download. You just go to rh3d.xyz, or you can visit the printables page. I'll have links in the description. I highly recommend you go to the Discord and consider donating to RH3D for his work. He's got a coffee link as well as a Patreon now, and he puts out a lot of really good stuff. Definitely worth taking a look at. No, he did not pay me to say that. It's just my opinion, and I am a proud supporter of this project. Fabrico helped out with this project. They had me come along as a beta tester for their kit that's going to be releasing soon. And we do have a couple sponsors for this build. First up, I'd like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this build by providing their CNC services, which allowed me to go with this custom bed mount. We have Advanced 3D Printing, like I mentioned before, provided this FXD Extruder so that we can see how it works in a Bowden setup. And we have Precision Printer Parts, who worked with me to get this cast bed that we're going to be using for this build. That should add a lot of extra strength to our Z-axis, as well as create a nice flat printing surface, and we'll be adding an AC bed heater to this as well. So for the printed parts, I went with LDO ABS, which you can exclusively get from Fabrico. I went with their sparkle gray and their blue. I think it's a really nice color combination that's going to go well with my custom powder coated frame. This frame was powder coated by a friend of mine, and I love it. It's a Galaxy Black frame, and I think it's going to look really sharp on this build. To download the files for this, like I said, you just want to go to the printables page and download the whole thing. If you go to the website, there's a configurator that RH put together. You put in your base model printer, whether it be an Ender 3 Pro or V2. Then you put in the hot end, motherboard, extruder, etc., into it, and it will give you a comprehensive list of all the printed parts and the BOM that you'll need to build this yourself. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to give everybody a visual on how to build this following the build manual. There is a few parts that you're going to want to pay. There are a few parts that you're going to want to pay special attention to that could throw off the build towards the end. That being said, let's take a look at the build guide. So, just like any printer build, you know, you're doing this at your own risk. You're going to be dealing with electronics, tools, hot things. Just be careful. These are some important things you're going to want to take into consideration. These red boxes have warnings for you. The green boxes have some special notes about each part, and the blue boxes have tips. Purple one is configuration notes, and the yellowish boxes are your steps. For the printed parts, one thing you're going to want to do is either make sure your printer is calibrated well. RH recommends the CaliStar, CaliFlower, or CaliLantern. I have experience with the CaliFlower, which I think is a great test for skew. Highly recommend that. I don't have experience with CaliStar or the CaliLantern, although I hear great things about them. And you're just going to want to make sure your printer is really calibrated well. These parts, they need to fit up perfectly, and the last thing you're going to want to do is chase your printed parts because something's not lining up or your measurements aren't correct, and that just leads to a big headache that you don't want to get into. If you are not able to print your own parts, I do offer the printed parts for sale on my website. The link will be in the description. As well as I do have the BD sensor for sale. I am a US distributor for the BD sensor, which I'll get into later. We will be using that on this build. So check the website out if that's something that interests you. This is the website. And in here, you're going to see a lot more information about this project. You have your specs, 335, 335, 345, your overall size, as well as size enclosed, and just some other specifications about the printer. So as you go forward, you'll see that there are some links here. You'll have the link to the printables page, RH's Coffee, where when you donate you do get access to the CAD files, the calibration cube, and then here's the configurator. The configurator is what you're going to download so that you know exactly what printed parts you need and what materials you need, and links are provided for the majority of the parts. Here's the link to the build manual and the Discord, and RH's Instagram, YouTube, and other ways to support him. I'm not sure if he has his Patreon link in here, but I'll put that in the description as well. Let's see, so going over here is the build guide. Electronics, all this stuff is coming soon as well, and then there's some frequently asked questions, the credits, as well as ways to support him, and he does have his Patreon link here. I highly recommend that, where he has other stuff such as Ender3NG multi-material unit. So going back to the manual, we'll continue to go through. He does have some tools that he recommends and requires. So obviously you're going to need drill bits, especially if you're doing the ultimate frame, which I highly recommend doing. The extrusions are cheap enough where it definitely makes it worth it. You're going to need an M4 and M3 tap, as well as some super glue, heat insert tool, soldering iron, everything that you see here. And some helpful tools, reamers, files, punches, etc., etc. He has a visual of the hardware, so to clear up any confusion, this is the page where it's going to tell you where to drill your holes with the provided printable templates, so that you can make sure all of your holes are in the right spot, as well as the guide to drill for your bed carriage. He gives information on how to clean and lubricate your bearings, and then goes into the manual for the build. So this picture right here, this is the ultimate frame. This is the frame that we're going to be building. And these are the placements of the heat inserts, all this stuff. This is a very well put together build manual, full color display, as you can see. And he goes over a lot of different options about the configuration for the build. So whether you're doing the regular Ender 3 conversion, or if you're doing the Ender 3 V2, which has a slightly shorter 40/40 extrusion that you're going to need to print out some spacers for, or if you're just using your standard Ender 3 Pro, which is a 350 millimeter 40/40 extrusion. If you're not doing the ultimate frame and you don't want to spend the money on extra extrusions, that's perfectly fine. He has printed rear verticals. I've used these before in the beta, and they were plenty strong, and especially when you combine it with the rear panel, the DIN rails, and everything in the electronics package, it really does stiffen it up. However, I do prefer using the aluminum extrusions just for that extra strength and eliminating any weak points, such as these seams right here where the two parts meet. So moving on, this is the 2040 upgrade in the ultimate frame, where you'll see instructions on how to do the blind joint if you've never done them before. This is a really good display on how to do it, what you want to do, and what I'll show you when I put my frame together is you don't want to screw the button heads in all the way, because you need to leave a few millimeters for the extrusion to slide over the heads of those bolts along with the washers. And the washers are there to provide some extra bite on the bolt so you can torque them down even more. And this is for the front supports. Two ways you can do this one. You can either use a 310 millimeter extrusion. Most likely you'll have to get that one custom cut, or you'll have to get a 350 millimeter and cut it down to 310, or you can purchase a 300 millimeter and use the two 5 millimeter spacers, which is what I'll be doing. So this is the assembly of the 2040 upgrade without the front ultimate frame. This is the Z drive. There is an option for triple Z. It really comes down to personal preference. I'm running triple Z on both of these NGs right here. That we're building today is going to be a single Z. So we'll be using, that'll be the exact one on the left with the 3 Z-axis rods. We are going to be using a third rod in the rear. This is the belt tensioner to make sure that you have the right tension on your Z. This is your Z motor. And here we're installing our Z support rods. This is your setup for your XY gantry, which will be covered in another video. And your top frame, likely covered in the same video. As you can see, everything is broken down step by step in extreme detail. And here is a key to squaring your top frame. This is a very important step and you're not going to want to skip over this. And this is going to be where your printer calibrations for the printer that you print your parts will come into play. Your electronics panel. And then these last few slides have just been the assembly of the upper frame to the lower frame. You're going to want to double check these measurements. Here is installing the steppers without cooling, and this is it with the active cooling. We're not going to be doing cooling initially on this one. These are your bed arms. We're not using these ones, but these are the ones being used on the two behind me. These flexi joints do work really well. However, the first time you start your printer up, I highly recommend not bolting in the palm nut. That way you can make sure that your motors are all turning the right way, unless you're doing the belted, and then unless you're doing the single Z, and then you shouldn't have to worry about that. They'll all move the same direction. And this is for the underbed fan. I'm running this on the two behind me. It definitely helps out with heating up the chamber. If you're not going enclosed, there's really no need for this. There are Wago connectors. You have ones for the stock bed, DC bed, and AC bed. We'll be using the one for the AC bed. And the installation of the bed, your belt routing, your belt securing system on the tool head, and then the tool head itself. And these are all the options. As you can see, there are a ton of options. Just go ahead and check either the CAD or the configurator to see which hot ends are compatible with this printer. You also have the option of CPAP, 50-15 fans, 40-20 fans, or 40-10 fans. I will be running 40-10. And your electronics, which will vary based off of the motherboard that you choose. We're going to be using the Big Tree Tech E3 V3. Your end stop and wire cover, your rear plug, and your cable gland, which there is a printable option. And your rear panel. Here's some wiring diagrams for you, as well as your finer steps. So this has been the build manual. With that, I'm going to wrap this video up, and we will have the actual build started in the next one. If you have any questions or things that you'd like to see in the actual build, please leave a comment, and I will do my best to address those questions and concerns during the build process. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video isn't too long. But yeah, thanks for sticking in, and looking forward to seeing the next one. Thanks.